All right, let's talk about AI. Have you ever wished for an AI that could do more than just, chat? One that could actually do stuff for you? Well, that's exactly the promise of OpenClaw. It's this open source project that has absolutely exploded in the developer world. But as you can imagine, when you have that much power, things can get messy. And that's what we're digging into today, the incredible promise and the serious peril of this groundbreaking tool.
A security dumpster fire. Wow. That is a pretty intense way to describe a piece of software, right? So how did we get here? How does something so loved by developers end up with a reputation like that? That's the core of what we're exploring. The new stack really hit the nail on the head here. It's this wild mix of being super popular and at the same time super risky.
So to really get why this is such a big deal, we have to understand the dream behind it. Before we dive into all the scary security stuff, let's look at why everyone fell in love with OpenClaw to begin with. What's the appeal? It really comes down to this idea of a truly capable AI assistant, not just a chatbot, but something that actually gets things done for you.
So what is OpenClaw exactly? Well, it's an open source AI agent, and the key thing to know is that it runs right on your own computer. It's not an LLM itself like GPT or Claude. Instead, think of it as like the conductor of an orchestra. It's an orchestration layer that takes those powerful models and gives them two crucial things: memory and the ability to act. It's an AI with hands, you could say. It can access your files, use your apps, run commands, all on your behalf. It basically becomes this super personalized assistant that remembers your conversations and your context.
And when I say it exploded, I mean it exploded. We're talking over 200,000 GitHub stars in just 3 months. That is just an astronomical growth rate. To put that in perspective, that makes it one of the fastest growing open source projects of all time. It's pretty obvious that developers weren't just interested, they were desperate for a tool just like this.
Okay, so now we get to the other side of the coin, that dumpster fire part. Because, well, that kind of explosive growth doesn't come without a price. It turns out, the very things that made OpenClaw so exciting, moving fast, being open source, created, you guessed it, the perfect storm for some major security problems.
Yeah, this chart really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? You've got this one bar soaring high. That's the 200,000 plus GitHub stars, pure popularity. But then you look at the other bars. You've got 512 vulnerabilities found in just one audit. And then, get this, 820 malicious skills or plugins out there in the wild. You see that contrast? It's a little terrifying. It's a classic recipe for disaster. So you gotta ask, right, what's the root cause here? How did this happen? Well, a report from NF's Focus points to something they call vibe coding. I love that term. It basically means the developers prioritize getting cool new features out the door as fast as possible, rapid iteration, instead of systematic, boring, but crucial security design. And you know the old saying, move fast and break things? Well, it turns out sometimes what you break is your own security, leaving the door wide open for attackers. And let me be clear, we're not talking about some abstract, theoretical risk here. Nope. We're talking about actual, real-world attacks that are, honestly, shockingly simple to execute. There's a known exploit, a hack, that can give an attacker total control of your machine, and all it takes is one click. This specific vulnerability is called CVE 2026-25253. Now, that might just sound like a bunch of numbers, but that CVE part is important. It was uncovered by the security firm SockRadar, and look at that severity score, 8.8 out of 10. That is critical. This is not a drill. What it allows is something called remote code execution, or RCE. And for a hacker, RCE is the holy grail. It means they can run whatever commands they want on your computer from halfway across the world. Total control. So how does this one-click hack actually work? Well, the folks at SockRadar laid out the whole kill chain, and it's frighteningly efficient. Step 1, you, the victim, click on a bad link. Maybe in an email, maybe on a website. That's it. In an instant, step 2 happens. Your agent's authentication token gets leaked to the attacker. From there, step 3, they hijack the connection, the WebSocket, that your browser is using to talk to your local AI agent. Then step 4, they use that connection to break out of the security sandbox and disable the safety prompts. And finally, step 5, game over. They can execute any command they want on your machine. It all happens in milliseconds. Before you even realize you've clicked, they're in.
Now here is the really scary part. You might be thinking, well, I'm safe. I'm just running it locally. It's not exposed to the internet. Wrong. And this is what makes the attack so clever. It doesn't attack the agent directly from the outside. It pivots through your own web browser. So if you've got OpenClaw running in the background and you're just browsing the web like normal, you are completely vulnerable. Basically, anyone running the agent locally, especially those who gave it high-level God mode permissions, is a prime target.
And it gets worse. The problem isn't just with the main OpenClaw application itself. A huge part of the risk comes from its ecosystem, all the add-ons and plugins that people download to give it more power.
See, the way you extend OpenClaw's abilities is by installing these things called skills. And you get them from a central marketplace, kind of like an app store called Claw Hub. Sounds great, right? An app store for your AI? The problem was, at least initially, this marketplace was basically the Wild West. There was very little security vetting, no real checks and balances to speak of.
So what do you think happened? Exactly what you'd expect. Bad actors flooded the marketplace. A study from NS Focus found that nearly 11%, that's 10.8% to be exact, of the skills on Claw Hub were straight up malicious. Think about that for a second. That means almost 1 out of every 10 skills you might download was a Trojan horse, just waiting to infect your agent and take over your computer. And the attack itself is deceptively simple. NSF Focus found a common pattern they call download execute. It's exactly what it sounds like. You think you're installing a useful skill, but in the background, it's secretly reaching out to an attacker's server, downloading a malicious script, and then running it on your machine. Poof, just like that, the attacker has a permanent backdoor into your system. I absolutely love this analogy from the security firm Clarify. They said, using a local first agent like this isn't like having a pet in a safe aquarium. No, it's like letting a lobster loose in your kitchen, claws and all. It's living in the most trusted part of your house. It's not contained, and it has the potential to cause some serious damage.
Okay, so after all that doom and gloom, you're probably wondering, should I just uninstall this thing and run for the hills? And the answer is, not necessarily. But it absolutely means you cannot be careless. You have to be smart. So let's talk about what you can actually do to protect yourself. The team over at Clarify actually created this fantastic agent risk mitigation ladder. It's basically a checklist of best practices, and it's super helpful. Let's run through it. First, patch quickly. Always be on the latest version, no excuses. Next, isolate the gateway. Do not expose the agent's control port to the public internet, period. Then, limit privileges. Run it in a container or on a separate dedicated machine if you can. Don't give it the keys to the kingdom. Also, manage your secrets. Use a proper secrets manager. Never ever store API keys in plain text files. And of course, vet your skills. Only install them from sources you trust, and if you can, take a peek at the code yourself. Finally, monitor and audit your logs. Keep an eye out for anything that looks suspicious. None of this is rocket science, right? But following these steps can make a world of difference.
So, when you step back and look at it, the whole OpenClaw story is really a cautionary tale for this new age of agentic AI. It shows us the incredible, mind-blowing potential of these tools, but it's also a stark reminder that we have to be careful. It leaves us with a really important question, one we all need to think about as this technology becomes more and more a part of our lives. Are we trading security for convenience? In our rush to build this amazing future, are we forgetting to build the guardrails too?